So, well, back then, she portrayed herself as this really loving girlfriend and really awesome mum. I just remember her being really vocal about the fact that, I was a great boyfriend and, what a great stepdad I'd make. What I didn't realise was that she was just love bombing me, basically. First of all, it was just undermining me with little things. And then it was trying to control me emotionally and financially. It was about the time that she was pregnant with my nipper, so we kind of I put it down to the fact that, hormones, pregnancy hormones and things like that. But as time went on, she started changing the way that I was thinking. She started making me doubt myself. Things like when I was at home, she'd give me the silent treatment. But then when I went to work, there would just be an endless tirade of messages and phone calls and even anything really just to disturb my day. And then after she had the baby, wow, things kicked into a whole new level. She started to isolate me even more from my friends and family. She didn't pay attention to her kids. In fact, she came away from them almost completely. And then when she was around the kids, she would just be shouting at me constantly. I didn't say anything when we were around them, united front and everything, but when we were on our own, I told her that she can't do that. It's not right. It got to a point where I thought, actually, I think we need to go and see someone. So I suggested going to see a counsellor. But Sarah was just dead against it. Just didn't want to know. So I would go and have to make, excuses. In the end, the counsellor turned around and said, actually, no, that's not what's happening. And she said to me that I'm in an abusive relationship. She told me that I had to give her an ultimatum. The worst part was she said that if I didn't do that, then the kids were going to notice and it was going to affect them in the long run too. I even went to the men's advice line about it. They just told me exactly the same. So I told her, but Sarah being Sarah, she just cranked that up even more. In the end, she didn't change. So I ended it. I mean, we were still living together, just in separate rooms and just living apart, really. I tried to talk to her, but she, again, wouldn't even discuss it. I offered her a payout, didn't want to know. Tried to talk to her about kids' arrangements, didn't want to know. The experience, it changed me. I'm not the same person as I used to be. If I could give advice to anyone in the same position, I would say find yourself a someone that can be honest with you, that you can talk to about things. Because I'll be honest, when I was in it, I just thought it was a normal relationship. No one deserves to go through this. It's just not right.
My wife Valerie and I had a very happy marriage for 50 years. We raised children and we had grandchildren who we both loved dearly. Last year, Valerie has been drinking a glass of wine before going to bed. That's increased somewhat, and within 5 months, she was drinking a bottle a day. Well, I thought this was due to a recent lack of mobility with her illness, but she couldn't walk very far, and I'd have to support her whenever we went out and about. She spent most of her time at home. She'd order me and shout at me to help her to complete various tasks. If she thought that I was taking too long, she'd strike me when I came back into the room. Well, sometimes with a hand, but also with anything else that was in reach. Well, I felt sad for Valerie. I felt it's my duty as a husband to support her, but when I tried to support her, I felt useless. Valerie kept telling me that I was worthless. But when I tried to tell her how I felt, she just said I was weak and lacked backbone. I thought that we should get some help into the house because the physical demands on me was causing somewhat of a strain. Valerie just cried and exclaimed that I didn't love her anymore. She also threatened to kill herself if I brought anybody into the house. She started pushing away the members of the family, and she threatened me if I told anybody about the abuse or the drinking. I called the men's advice line. A friend had advised me to do so. Just didn't know what to expect, and it was very awkward at first. Well, in fact, the first call, I was just conflicting. But after a while, it eased off. And most of all, it was great relief. Because I'd wondered whether they would judge me or make me feel guilty. But it was nothing like that. The advisor put me in touch with another organisation dealing with domestic abuse involving men. Well, I was worried that in that first conversation that they would ask me to make up my mind and make a decision, but no, they gave me plenty of time. I arranged for support to come in for Valerie, and I left the home. Well, the support services and my friends and relatives, they all helped. Without them, I don't know what would have happened.
we've pulled up at home. She's come over to me and grabbed me around the throat, screaming and shouting about how she's going to punch me. I get smashed in the face with a set of keys. My mum and dad always had a rocky relationship. My mum made me believe, I think off the back of that men were always the problem. My ex and I met abroad and very quickly came back to the UK, where she didn't know anyone and I had my group of friends, obviously. And over time, I met back up with friends and made new friends, and she didn't. She was able to use her lack of friends, lack of friendship, lack of social groups as a real hold over me, to guilt me into not doing things, to stay inside, to really be all hers. It got to the stage where I wasn't really able to go and just do things freely. It always required permission, but also I was led to believe that I was the problem. Even so much so that she would be friendly and pally with my friends and come across as this big, open, energetic, loving, warm person. This, when it really got to its worst, it would be, the plan is that she's picking me up from work and then she's 2 hours late, not answering her phone, picks me up from work. I'm obviously upset about it. And then it would be digging into my past and the domestic violence I saw growing up and pulling that just out of nowhere and essentially rubbing it in my face to try and rile me up and to try and get a reaction out of me, to try and upset me. And then, you know, because an argument's happened, she's now got this excuse to not go out and not do things. But also, if I now go out, having had the argument, I'm in the wrong. So it was always lining me up. I was so beaten down at the end of it with trying to change anything, trying to be a little bit more positive, trying to be a bit more proactive. I was just exhausted. And essentially at the end of it, you feel lonely because these people, your friendship group, your family, the closest people to you, now don't actually know who you are or what's going on or how you're feeling. So we were in the car and she was in a foul mood. She was extremely homesick, and it was one of those looking for any excuse to have a scream and shout at me moments. I was actually fixing my ex's car. We've pulled up at home and we've got out of the car and she's come over to me and grabbed me around the throat, started screaming, and she's got me up next to the car by my throat, screaming and shouting about how she's gonna she wants to punch me, she wants to do all this, that, the other to me. And I just know in that moment I need to maintain control. If I now start shouting, I lose this situation. All it takes is for me to raise my voice a little bit. She's got me around the throat and I'm the abusive one. It doesn't matter that we're in the 21st century, this is the case. By now she's got the keys in her hand and she's been really threatening with them, threatening to hit me. I've backed myself away, taken a deep breath, and I get smashed in the face with a big old set of keys, enough that it's left a mark and knocked me back a bit. I felt out of control. I felt so downtrodden, like an absolute piece of dirt. I realised that with witnesses, I was able to contact the police. I was able to contact a domestic abuse agency. When I spoke to the domestic violence agency, they gave me the opportunity to go to a safe house. My first piece of advice would be to go straight to an agency. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. The support is out there. If you think that there is a problem in your relationship, then you can find somebody to talk to.